Some studies show 1 in 5 Americans get their news from TikTok, and more people get health information from there. But a surprising amount of that information is misleading or completely wrong. We welcome author and professional health debunker Tim Caulfield. Tim, nice to see you. Now, you analyzed some of these videos. What did you find?
Yeah, Nicole, on the show, we often get to talk about specific products that are bunk, unproven therapies. I think it's really important to wrap your arms around the sheer volume of nonsense that is out there, right? It's incredible. One study from Australia found 60% of the fitness videos have some degree of misinformation or harmful content in them. A study that we did found that 70% of cancer books on that first page of a book search filled with misinformation. And a more recent study that I did working with the team at CBC at Marketplace, they found that 80% of the TikTok content on autism and cancer, no evidence to support the claims. No good scientific evidence to support what they're talking about. I could go on and on and on. In fact, it's gotten so bad, and I think this is really important to recognize. Misinformation online is almost the norm, right? Especially if you're hearing it from an influencer, especially if you're hearing it from someone who's trying to sell products. We need to be really, really skeptical.
Now, curious, what kinds of cancer and autism remedies came up?
Oh, it was, in our own research, we found, things like carrot diets and extreme use of certain supplements. A really popular one is apricots. Have you heard about this? I mean, This has been around for a long, long time, apricot seeds, and somehow that has some magical cure. Look, that can be really problematic. That can lead to cyanide poisoning. Again, no evidence to support that idea. There never has been. And what's really interesting also is other research has found that these claims are often supported using conspiracy theories. And in the cancer space, for example, the idea that the biomedical industry is withholding a cure, you've probably heard this, right? Because they want to make money off of the treatments that already exist. No, that's complete nonsense, but it's a very, very powerful conspiracy theory. So that's one of the things you want to watch for. A red flag is a conspiracy theory being used to push the product.
Now, another trend popping up online is stem cell supplements. Now, stem cells are scientific, but what about these supplements?
Yeah, so this was actually a study that our team did. It was published very recently. We looked at almost 200 supplements online that are being marketed. I call this science-ploitation, Nicole. You take a real exciting area of science, like microbiome, precision medicine, or stem cells, right? You use that language to sell unproven treatments. And we just found it was a sea of nonsense. Look, there are no stem cell supplements, right? But these are really popular. And they also use sort of what I call wiggle words, like enhance, boost, give you energy. And they do that to avoid regulatory oversight. So watch for science-ploitation. Watch for science-ploitation, another red flag for bunk.
How can people sort through all of this and find good information?
Well, look, it's getting more and more difficult. AI is not going to make it any easier, but you want to make sure that the product isn't being supported by only testimonials. An anecdote, a testimonial, even if that testimonial is from an alleged, expert, make sure there's good scientific evidence to support the claim. As I said before, watch for conspiracy theories, the idea that this is some secret knowledge that no one else has. Always think about what the body of evidence says on the topic. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Well, thank you so much, Tim, for joining us this morning. Tim Caulfield is the author of several books, most recently The Certainty Illusion, which explores what we don't know and why it matters.